Greetings and welcome to Austin, Texas Gardening. It's April here in Texas, and so it is time to be talking about tomatoes. April is the best time of year to grow tomatoes, and that's because when the daytime temperatures are under 90 and the nighttime temperatures are under 75, they do the best as far as pollination is concerned. If you've seen my recent video, you'll know that I recently removed everything from this garden bed following all the snow we got this winter. I was growing some tomatoes here, but they all died. And so I put in these new plants maybe about a month ago, and it turns out that they're already producing a ton of tomatoes. So my wife and I are actually getting ready to go on a trip. We got married last April, and because of COVID, we didn't get a chance to go on a honeymoon. So we're going to Hawaii shortly, which also means we have to quarantine before we go because of Maui's travel restrictions. We're running low on groceries, and I figured now would be a great time for a tomato harvest. So let's see what we got. So this is my larger tomato plant. It's covered with all of these flowers and tomatoes, and it's crazy because I only paid $15 for this plant, but it's already put out dozens of tomatoes. When I bought it, it had this little cluster of tomatoes on it that used to be green and is now red, and I'm anticipating that in the coming weeks, it's gonna have even more tomatoes ready for harvest. It's really wrapped around my tomato cage and is flourishing, and I'm excited to see what it continues to do. I also bought these two smaller plants, which have also surprised me in that they've put out these little cherry tomatoes, and one here and another one over here, which they've ripened in only about a month. So here's what I got from our two small plants and our larger plant, and I still have a ton of green tomatoes on the vine. Every one of these little yellow flowers, if pollinated, will ultimately become a tomato. And so this is probably not my first tomato related video, but growing tomatoes in Texas is super easy. In fall or in the winter, that's a totally different story. And in summer, they don't really pollinate because it's too hot during the day and night. But in the spring, I mean, you literally just plant it, it rains so much it waters itself, and it just produces like nobody's business. I've also got this potted jalapeno plant. I'm aware I could probably wait a little bit longer, but I'll just go ahead and take these now. Maybe will be helpful for cooking our tomatoes. And of course, these green onions and cilantro we've been growing won't be of any use if we don't actually use them in cooking recipes. I don't really use any pesticides or anything like that, but I can see that. I don't know if this is the result of slugs or something else. Some of my tomatoes are a little bit eaten into and damaged, but for the most part, it looks like they turned out pretty good. So we got our ingredients here all washed off. We're gonna just put that in our food processor. Nice. And I have some leftover habaneros and mango from a meal we had made the other day. I'm gonna just throw that in here too.